Basically, what I'm trying to aim for with my choices here is that I don't want Conway to be enrolled in the distillery in a situation he can't escape. So saying that I'll look after his truck for him is just kind of like, yeah, I'll look after it for you, but you're going to be taking it back, right? No? And I guess the social commentary on that is medical bills causing massive problems for people, making them feel like slaves, indentured servitude, mentioned before. And this person, even though she doesn't know Conway all that much, he's trying to be empathetic. And Conway, being of an older generation, feels like he's owing a debt to everyone that came before him that gave him opportunity. Same for the story. Visitors to the Echo River split-nosed brownback artificial hibernaculum and sanctuary are asked to take extra precautions in order to prevent the introduction of foreign fungal contaminants and the spread of white nose syndrome, also known as cocaine syndrome. Please do not visit the sanctuary during the same day in which you visited any cave known or suspected to host bats infected with white nose syndrome. Please do not leave your vehicle. If you must leave your vehicle, please remove shoes, clothes, jewelry, headwear, and eyeglasses to ensure you don't bring any foreign spores ashore with you. Please do not touch any bats or structures. Split-nosed brown bat is confused by light. If you are using a lantern or other artificial light source, be aware it may attract and confuse bats. If you are approached by bats, do not panic. Relax. Stop your vehicle and switch off your light. Never touch a bat. Okay, so if I turn this off, I can't see where the things go. Like, I could just time it and say, hey, if we haven't progressed anywhere in 2 minutes with the light being off, then I'll turn it back on. But kind of want to see where the boat's actually going. So, hello? No? Something hang over a tree? Hey. Oh, there's more. So, like, bird houses and bats? Can you feed bats the same way you feed birds? With, like, feeders you hang from tree branches and stuff? That doesn't seem like it would work the same way. Although, to be fair, I don't really know how bats eat normally. Like, I assume they don't do it necessarily the right way up. Quotes. Basically, whenever I've seen a bat eating, they've been wrapped in like a towel or something, and they seem to be on their backs. So, anyway, I can see some bats flying around, so it might be an idea to turn off the light. So we'll just stare at this blank screen, listen to the chug of the boat for a bit, and we'll see if we actually. If anything happens in... Also, I'm assuming that as soon as I turn the light back on, that's when the bats will start coming towards. Any, like... So the whole thing about bats, right, is that they use echolocation to maneuver their way through the dark. And apparently there's a Tumblr post or a Twitter thing somewhere that says, actually, bats aren't quite as good at maneuvering through the dark and avoiding each other as we thought they were. So they do bump and crash into each other while flying a lot. So that kind of like dispels the myth of, hey, bats are incredibly agile and whatever they need to in darkness. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because their eyes don't necessarily look like eyes that would be A, limited to echolocation as a form of movement, and B, they don't react that strongly to daylight anyway, because they are mammals. Yeah, they're mammals, right? They have milk. Yeah, they just have leathery wings. That's really weird to think about, isn't it? Bats are mammals with wings. Oh, strange. Alright, I'm going to turn the light back on now. Oh, hey, look at that. The boat didn't actually go anywhere. Well, I'm sure we'll deal with the bats later on. Bat fact! Ever talk with your mouth full? Bats do it all the time. Bats talk in extremely high-frequency clicks, too high for humans to hear, and then they use their powerful ears to scan for the echoes of these ultrasonic clicks. By comparing very subtle differences in the time these echoes take to come back, differences of just millionths of a second, bats are able to picture their environment with enough accuracy to catch a flying insect. Once a bat has caught an insect in its mouth, it's still flying, and so it still needs to avoid running into anything. But bats keep clicking away, even while they munch on a tasty bug snack. It may be poor table manners, but it's crucial for surviving in. I wonder how the other bats know whether one of them is really talking or just chasing a bug. I think when they're actually communicating, it sounds more like singing. Sometimes it's hard to know with people, too. I don't like singing. I'd like to hear that. Imagine if humans had. How creepy would that be? Well, I suppose for a bat, it's more like they've got fingers, but the fingers are all webbed and leathery, right? So imagine if you had like leathery webbed hands, like a sea creature. The split-nosed brown bat's natural diet consists mostly of moths and other small insects that breed along the river. Here at the artificial hibernaculum and sanctuary, we use a combination of chemical snares and ultrasonic wars to repel all potentially contaminant-bearing insects, and replace them with our own locally bred and spawned hypoallergenic antiseptic pseudomoths, which we call the little grey nothing moth. You may be thinking that the other moths and insects the split-nosed brown bat would have been eating are very much relieved that their natural predator has found another food source. Not so. We've installed netting and highly effective moth traps along the river where the split-nosed brown bat normally hunts, to balance their escape from the food chain. But eating moths isn't the only systemic contribution these bats make. They also produce a potent fertilizer in the form of guano that helps plant life thrive along the Echo River, the shore of Lake Lee. In order to minimize the sanctuary's impact on subterranean agriculture, we collect the precious guano here at the hibernaculum and manually distribute it throughout the caves. It's a full-time job. Sounds like a lot of work. They eat fake moths? I wonder how the bats would feel about that guano being taken out. It's all fake, except for the bats. I wonder how the bats would feel. Maybe it's better they don't know, like bat plumbing. I mean, I never think about where it goes, do you? Right, it is reassuring to know someone's taking care of everything. Little bat. Kind of bothers me. Like they're tricking the bats? No, it's reassuring. Yeah, who's gonna build the people hibernaculum? Maybe we'll build it ourselves. Maybe we already did. Like the folks in the mine, you said they used to buy stuff. Fans, canaries, all those little trinkets to make it bearable. There's still a lot of stuff down there. It feels cluttered, but human. I just mean, all people need is enough to pretend we're home and we can make it anywhere. Sure, people can, but what about bats? You get kind of philosophical when you drink it. You don't want to have to... Yeah, I guess I do. No, this is nothing. I used to have this drinking buddy who would get loaded and tell the weirdest damn riddles, but, like, which is more musical, a truck passing by a factory or a truck passing by a music school? Ah, thank you, bless it. Much of a riddle. Also, these are some big bats. Looking at the size of the... Look at the size of the bats compared to Homer's head. Those are huge. Down, down, slowly down. Just round the river bend. White nose syndrome is still largely a mystery. We suspect that the white fungal growth which appears on bats' faces and wings irritates and confuses them, causing them to awaken early from hibernation and venture outside, depleting stored energy they need to survive through winter. But biologists are nowhere near curing the disease. It spreads quickly and is highly fatal. In this way, white nose syndrome has drawn some comparisons to colony collapse disorder as suffered by bees. White nose syndrome and colony collapse disorder are sudden, violent, and mysterious. Will honeybees and the split-nosed brown bat be two more lost species, wiped out in a geological blink and forgotten to natural history? It's possible that a cure won't be identified in time, so the sanctity of this artificial hibernaculum is our best hope of preserving them. As you leave the Echo River split those brown bat hibernacling in the sanctuary, please make sure your vehicle and clothing are free of hitchhikers. You don't want a bat as a friend. Okay. So what was the point of us heading out on this boat ride again? Because it wasn't to visit the back sanctuary. Drop off, telephone exchange. Flooded. What are we taking this? Also, why Wheatland? Telephone wires. That's precarious, isn't it? Central exchange. Go in, shall we? Oh, hello. People! Not skeletal people either. Hi there. Conway. Careful up there. Can't drive your new truck if you slip and break your legs. I'll be careful. You too. Try not to make any more bad deals while I'm gone. Yeah. Haha. I'll just be floating along down here. I just mean keep your eyes open and don't look back. We'll see. So we got Flora and Dacia. Let's talk to Flora first. I saw her first. Oh, hi! I remember you. What are you doing down here? Know where the telephone exchange operator is? I don't know what that means. I'm just exploring. I like dark underground places. I'm a romantic. Really, what does that mean to you? So am I think. I think I'm more classical myself. That sounds like the same thing to me. Okay, bye. Bye, Flora. Dashio. You bypass with another capacitor at 100 nanofarads to... what are you working on? If your circuit's too noisy, you should tie those floating pins to ground. Huh, that's a pretty good idea. They're probably picking up all kinds of radio interference. Dashio Morse, pleased to meet you. We don't install this type of phone for customers anymore, but there are quite a few of them still in circulation. Anyway, the new system doesn't source enough current to ring these old bells, so I'm trying to come up with a workaround. Maybe a little box the customer could attach right before the ward. I'm a bit of a circuit geek myself. Sounds like a good gig. I'm a circuit geek. Bet. I mean, you seem very comfortable with electronics. Is this your first time down here? Yeah, I can tell. Your eyes can't quite adjust to the light. It takes some practice. Believe it or not, I've been coming here since I was a kid, for one reason or the next. Back then, this place was a train station. True. They had bats then too, but they were considered a nuisance. What did you come here for as a kid? What happened to this train station? Well, the river shifted and this place slowly filled with water, carrying the trains away with the current. It does that, the river. And I don't begrudge it. It's a good reminder that everything we have is borrowed. Trains. Eventually, someone at the Bureau of Reclaimed Spaces heard this place was still empty. They moved the phone company in. I returned here as a young lineman, a skill I picked up in wartime, running telephone wires behind enemy lines. Used trees instead of poles. I miss that actually. They were easy to climb. It's just as well. I'm in no shape to be climbing anything these days. Closest I get is patching up the wiring in the crystal room for the WEVP. WEVP, that's community television. I volunteered there for a number of years. I know everybody over there. Ralph, Sherry, Weaver, Dave, Marquez. Weaver Marquez? Sure, Weaver Marquez. That's funny. I was just thinking about her. Yeah, I met her a couple of times at the TV station. I suppose I didn't know her too well. We handled the archives, and I was helping with wiring and stuff. She really seemed to know her way around all that gear, though. She had a head for signals, I think. No idea where she ended up. I would guess she's probably not too popular around the station anymore, but I always liked her. Listen, miss, if you're interested in WEVP, you should go talk to them directly. They're always looking for volunteers. Take the ferry over to the silo. There's a mail stop there. They don't have a sign or anything, just ask around. I guess I'll get back to this damn old ringer. Poppy's just a little further down if you're dropping off that package. Nice chatting with you. So, Poppy? Oh, further down past Dashiell. That a bit. Abel and Eloise, the lovers' couriers. Bred for racing, Abel and Eloise spent most of their lives as carrier pigeons in the employ of the Echo River Avian Post. They retired here after Abel was disfigured in an accident with a light aircraft, but old habits were hard to die. Abel and Eloise would pick up scraps of paper from the ground, the trash, even pull them out of pockets, deliver them to other people nearby to delight or embarrassment. Word spread, and travellers passing through this tunnel began to become prepared with love letters, poems, and other written desires to pass along indirectly through pigeons. After a hard day's work, Abel and Eloise would always be found nestled closely together in a disused newspaper stand set aside for their habitation. That's where we left. Right then. That's this. Ah, Poppy! Hello, Poppy. Just set it right over there by the lamp, sweetie. Thanks. Actually, just a minute. Who does that parcel claim to be from? Reading label, Consolidated Power Company. Laszlo Electronics. Does this actually matter? Consolidated Power Company. Oh dear, I'm afraid to open it. So, who are you? You work for the post office? Or the tugboat? Oh, that's because I haven't seen you before. Was that you I heard chatting down the hall? Yeah, I just met Dashiell. Just doing Kate a favour, dropping off this package. Just met Dashiell. He's been working on that obsolete ringer, hasn't he? Poor Dashiell. You know, he's not really... He was let go a while. A long while. When they started restructuring, he was one of the first to go. But he talked them into letting him come every day and fiddle with some internal project. He says it's to keep a long gap from growing his resume, but I think he just has nothing better to do. One of those old men who needs to work, you know? Doesn't know how to be any other way. Well, there are no real jobs here, but there are fake jobs, yes. It wasn't always like this. When I came to work at the Echo River Central Exchange, there were 12 of us. Loretta, Edna, Meg, Cara, Mary, Lois, Liz, Hester, Angie, Wilma, Connie. I was number 12. Connie and I were hired on the same day, but she showed up early. Marie finished college and Hester was fired for snapping at a rude caller, but he had it coming. And I heard she did just fine on her own. They hired Beryl, Jaina, and Sachiko, which brought us up to 13, and that was as many operators as we ever had here at one time. The power company came along and buying up all the lines, and one day they took the exchange as a throw-in like it was nothing. Nothing. They started phasing us out. Edna, Meg, Cara, and Lois left one Friday evening and were asked not to come back on Monday morning. Beryl saw the writing on the wall and quickly found employment at private PBX. Yet Jaina and Liz stopped routing calls and write up some kind of best practices document instead. It was their final task as exchange employees. Some of the girls were reassigned to other divisions. Connie, I think, was checking residential meters. Sachiko and Wilma were moved into energy sales, cold calling businesses. They needed to upgrade their electricity plan. At least they were still on the phone. Then it was just Loretta, Angie, and me. We were swamped. The hours were hell and hot on the throat. The voice with a smile became a croak. I was gargling warm salt water in the break room, sipping from a thermos full of hot honey broth stashed under my chair. Oh, I brought a lot of extended technique to the switchboard in those days. Hello? Who could that be? Sounded pretty good to me. Yeah, I'm impressed. He got the voltage too high, he'll burn out the replay. Oh, I'm impressed. So, where was I? Hot honey broth and warm salt water. Extended switchboard technique, just left to Angie. It was all about timing your breath. Some girls got lightheaded doing too many calls in a row with that upbeat dynamic inflection they made us use everything intelligible. It was very physical. So, after a few months, it was just me. A new automation strategy was announced and this place was rechristened Consolidated Auxiliary Switch number 30. If it's automated, what? It's not fully automated. There are still gaps in functionality that need touch. And, you know, it really is all about touch here. Sound is a vibration, a touch you feel in your ear, so my voice is my touch. When we're talking, we're touching on the phone. That's an electric touch, an intimate little shock that makes your tiny hairs tremble. That's not even what I mean. When I say it's all about touch here, when the power company first tried automating this old exchange with fancy new transistor arrays, switchboard caught fire. It was too much, too fast. So, they tried using some clunky old mechanical relay, but then the calls were getting mismatched and out of sync. It was a nightmare. The technicians determined that the phone system down here had been designed ad hoc over decades around the specific tempo of its human operators. So, short of replacing the whole thing, not to mention all the wiring, they'd have to work out the exact timing of every little human gesture that goes into routing a phone call. And that, officially, is my role here. I run the switchboard for the whole exchange. Once the worker 12, I'd like to remind you, they have some kind of machine somewhere that tracks how long it takes me to do a little thing. Caller never hears my voice now. They dial, my little indicator lights switch on, and I make the connection. Is talking to callers? Interesting. What's the machine? What is the machine like? Oh, it's funny. I've never actually seen it. They just told me to carry on patching while it collects and collates in the background until it's ready to take over. There's a dot. What if there is no cheap machine that's going to replace me? What if it's cheaper just to keep me here, filling in for the rhythm of the operators? What if I'm the cheap machine? Hey, automation's coming! 2020. Why don't you just quit? In this economy? Wow. No, you're probably right. Working in silence for peanut shells waiting to be replaced by a robot doesn't sound very dignified, does it? Reality is that I've been working here for my whole adult life. I came here as a girl and I'll leave as a middle-aged woman. Don't know if I'm ready to be here yet. I sound like Dashiell. Oh, the parcel. Right over there by the lamp is fine. Thanks for dropping that off. Take care. Think of me when you dial 0. Homer! Homer! So... that's Conway. He's fully transformed. Must be, right? No.